Welcome to the Starting Over Podcast. I am your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos, and this is the show where we look at the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of heroclix. Man, I've had interesting week in time, just with variable things that have been going on in my life, mainly of which trying to get some part-time employment at least, which is a lot more difficult than I thought. It's sort of funny as, hey, people don't want to hire you if you have a higher level of education just because they're afraid that you're going to leave the job, which, yeah. Anyway, but what are we going to talk about today? We are going to talk about a couple of things today. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about two sets that's come out that I haven't talked about at all. It's going to be Thor and Thor the Dark World, and we're going to look at the Batman 66. Now, to my knowledge, the Thor the Dark World is 3 figures so far. Now, if there's more than that, then I have a small problem. And let me just try to make sure. I'll go into the spoilers section, because usually they're good at that. Thor Dark World. Entertainment. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I'm gonna go. Yeah, unit section. That's what's up. I mean, not unit section, spoiler section. So we're going to talk about both of those sets today. So it may be a little bit long. So bear with me. Also, what you're going to be getting is first reactions. And off the top of the dome. So I won't know any of the rulings or blah, 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 ratas coming, blah, blah, blah stuff. So that's what's up. Alright, so let's get started with Thor the Dark World, then we go into Batman. Not because I love Marvel more or hate DC, but it's what's in front of me. Let's look at it. First, we're going to look at number 1, Thor. Experienced Thor. He comes in at 200 points. He has Asgardian armor. Once per game, when Thor will be dealt damage, you may instead give him an action token. If you do, Thor ignores the damage. So, yay, he has protected. Mighty Mjolnir. Give Thor a power action to make a ranged combat attack. This attack generates knockback, but the knockback path is not stopped by walls or squares of blocking terrain. Instead, destroy the terrain, and knockback damage from the attack equals damage +1 for each wall or squares of blocking terrain the character moved through. Now, this can be really good if you combine it with Barrier. And Bunker has another good best friend, along with his good friend for life, Terrax. But this Thor is pretty nice. Now, if you compare him to the average Thor that you're getting, he's about okay. I mean, is he still pretty awesome? Yeah. Is he broke strong? Not really. 17 defense to start, 4 clicks of running shot, 4 clicks of charge at the end. He sort of hits a lot of notes that the other movie Thors do. So I would say, grats if you got him. If you don't sweat on it. But I do like that knockback. It creates a situation like Hell's Realm into a very interesting battleground. So with 8 range, the big disadvantage I see is that you are paying for a long range, but unfortunately you're trying to line up shots where your targets go through walls, which would possibly mean that your range isn't as effective, because you can't shoot far out. Now, you can look at Mighty Mjolnir as a compensation of, hey, if there's walls, you do more damage. If there's not walls, sorry, you're overcosted for this Thor. But hey, you get to use a full fledge of your range. So you can. I guess it's one of those. The cup is full. Is reached the halfway point with liquid. I can't say it's half full or half empty. It's just is. Okay. Now note, people, I am not a person that's proficient in Norse language, so if I jack this up, just bear with me. In an honor Inenjar. Gotta roll that just a little bit. 50 points. Asgardian keyword, warrior keyword, word. Shield wall, special power. When Ilinyar is adjacent to a friendly character named Ilinyar, modify both their defense values by +1, if not already modified by this effect. And I'm going to assume that Ilinyar is a generic. So, to modify their Pedley defense up to 17, highest it will be on the dials at 18, is not too bad. Now, if you sort of think of them as Book of the Skull hammer fodder, I would say, yeah, that would be pretty cool usage. Also for Asgardians, since they're so expensive, just getting some more cheap guys in there is great. End-dial willpower is sort of a bonus with minions, so that they can just sort of burn that last bit of that candle as brightly as they can. Overall, the attack values are alright. The biggest sort of, like, don't push off of this click is really click 2 when you get blades. That's it. You have your highest attack value, your highest defensive value, and your special power still, but that's the best thing I can say. Dark Elf Soldier, 50 points. I assume that this is another generic. You have sidestep, which is pretty cool, and you have 2 dials, which, yay. Now they have Salvatorheim on their keywords, which I would assume that that's going to be the realm in which they come out of. If my limited understanding of German would be correct, I assume Heim. Usually Heim is a house or a home. I don't know what Salvatov is, but yeah. Going on, Driven for side A trait. When Dark Elf Soldier would be dealt pushing damage, roll a d6. On the result of a 4 through 6, ignore the pushing damage. So that's pretty cool. The other one is Harrow Rider. Dark Elf has flight and can use the Ram ability. When he uses the Ram ability, his movement may be made up of 2 direct lines. So that sounds pretty cool. So you're not just using 1 square. I guess you're 2 squared wide. A's micro black hole burst. Dark Elf Soldier can use Incapacitate. This attack has an area of effect including all opposing characters adjacent to the target. In addition to normal effects, all hit characters half their speed values until your next turn. So there's a little bit of control elements there, and you get your sidestep and super senses with that power. Now with that Horror Rider, you get sidestep on clicks 2 and 3, which I'm not quite sure you can use with Ram ability sidestep, but don't quote me on that. If you can, that would be awesome. Now, what I would also say too is just because you have Ram ability doesn't mean that you're a pilot. Also, for them to have flight at a 50-point flyer, that's not too bad. Starting off with 9 movement, 10 attack, and 17 defense with invuln, it's pretty good, and it might actually help out your soldier and warrior teams. And the 6 range isn't that shabby. Overall, I would say, get a couple just for fun. Next up is Malkith, Mystic's Power Cosmic team abilities, which is pretty awesome. That combination really is. He comes in at 350 points to 225 points, and already the Dark Logos meteor says, oh my gosh, maybe this is a little bit too much. At 350, he starts off with running shot, 12 attack, 18 defense, and prob. At 225, he starts out with sidestep, 11 attack, 18 defense with invincibility, and 4 damage perplex, which at 9 range is not that bad. He has the Aether and IR1 characters hit by an attack from Malkith can't use defense powers until their next turn. Last stand, Malkith can use super senses and toughness. Now, here's my feelings on looking just at the whole dial. And I am, again, like I said, in the HC Realms forums and the upcoming sets thread or whatever. I think in the world of team bases, I'm sorry, he's really obsolete. Definitely at 225, like, I'm just not feeling it. If you take team bases away in the meta that we have now, I'm really not feeling them. Not eating at 350, definitely not. If you're looking at a theme play and you're looking at making a super tent pole, there are several other Asgardian characters that I would play before him. The other big element that I would just want people to like look at and realize, like, okay, look at his keywords: cosmic, mystical, ruler, Savalt to the Heighten. Sorry. The only one that he's really going to get the most out of is Mystic, and then that's with Spiral. But if you look at it, hey, look, oh, I have Spiral. I'd rather have 225 points of whatever the heck else, or 350 points of whatever the heck else, than this. Now, in the future, people, when you listen to this show and you're going to be like, well, this was changed and that was changed, and you forgot he has Precision Strike and blah blah blah. I'm not talking about future-proofing him. You can't future-proof any click. Trust me. I know that firsthand. But as it stands now in the meta, he's not that good. If someone wants to trade you for it, or you're really a fan, that's the only reason why I would say try to pick up one. Next up is Sif, Charge, Quake, Special Powers, and Empower. But let's really look real quick. She comes in at 100 points, no range, Asgardian, Deity, Warrior, keyword. She gets Precision Strike, which that's pretty cool. But her trait is Mistress of the Blade. Sif can use Blade's Claw's Fangs. When adjacent friendly characters with Asgardian Warrior keywords use Blade's Claw's Fangs, the minimum result of that character's D6 roll is its percentage damage value. So that's sort of like a hedged bet. Definitely, I think there's a Thor, I forgot. There's a couple of characters that have absurd damage values in Blade's Claw's Fangs. So it gives you some insurance. And if you're up for that, then good for you. There you go. My lord, my love. Sif can use invulnerability when Sif is adjacent to a friendly character named Thor. He can use shape change, but only succeeds on a result of 6, which is sort of nice because it just gives whatever Thor you're playing a little bit added defense. If you're looking for a nice little Thor to play in under 300 points with Sif, go to the Marvel's 10th anniversary 120 point Thor. He's great. He's broke strong. None so sharp as Asgardian Steel. When Sif makes a close combat attack, she may target all adjacent opposing characters. If she does, the damage dealt by the attack can be divided in any way among the successful hit targets, provided that all damage dealt is divided among them. This can be cool. It technically gives her sort of a form of Quake attack when she doesn't have Quake. And with Precision Strike, when she does it, she's sort of guaranteed to do 1 damage to everybody. So if you can get Sif in a position where she can be adjacent to either 2 or 3 characters with damage reduction, then this can work out. Also, I think with Flurry, she has the 2 damage with the Flurry though, but I think you can try to you could combine that with Precision Strike again. So in that special power. So that's, overall it's not bad. It's not bad. I wouldn't. Yeah, I would say you can have fun with it. Not super high meta fun, but it's fun. Tier, no affiliation, no range, 200 points, has Guardian, Brute, Deity, and Warrior. Warbringer. At the beginning of your turn, all friendly characters within 6 squares which are 100 points or less and have both Asgardian and Warrior keyword can use Sidestep and modify their damage Modify their damage values by +1 this turn. Um, This is my problem. Is for his little thing to kick in, you have to have Asgardian and Warrior keyword. I wish you didn't have to have both, but oh well. And I'm betting there's some characters that would actually key off of this. It's just like mainly most of their little minion dudes would benefit, and so for the little minions to get more damage, that's awesome. None can stand against me. Tyr can use Quake. When he does, his damage value becomes 3 and is locked. He gets that later, and I do like the idea of a spread out, like, hey, 3 damage to everybody, boom. That's pretty cool. Having sidestep so they can sort of get in a position when that happens is awesome. Hey, I'll take it for what it is. Then he has his defensive power. Battle is where I belong. Tyr can use invulnerability when Tyr is targeted with a close combat attack. Modify his defense values by +1 for each adjacent opposing character. And this is sort of saying, hey, I have super duper combat reflexes, or I have really weak combat reflexes, just depending on the situation. Is he worth 200 points? I don't really think so. Is he fun? Moderately. Does he create a situation where melee has pressure? To an extent. I do like his use of Empower and how he tries to mobilize Asgardian warriors. So, props to WizKids on the attempt. That's really all I can say. Next up is Marauder, number 7. He has Charge and Exploit Weakness and Invulnerability starting off, and at 75 points, I think that's pretty good. It's a brute keyword. If you just look at it as a nice generic, it works out. That's pretty much all it is. The stats overall are fine. Now, the click 3 is the big click that I want you to look at, having sidestep, 11 attack, 16 defense, toughness, and close combat expert. For the fact that you get to move as a free action means that you could use close combat expert on an opponent. So I think that click in and of itself deserves some mad respect. So definitely think about Marauder. Next up is Curse. And he is wacky dial, according to this. He has, I guess, improved movement. Yes, ignores hindering terrain and characters. He has this ability called Focus Hatred. Curse can use Battle Fury, which sort of sucks. Algorithm Reborn. If Curse enters play through the battlefield promotion ability, he is KO'd if he crosses the red line. When a countdown click is showing, Curse can't be moved, placed, targeted, or damaged, and at the end of your turn, turn the dial once to the right. If all characters friendly to Curse are KO'd, all countdown clicks become KO clicks. This ability can't be ignored. So he has a countdown mechanic, and I don't know if he can't be killed or what. It's sort of hard to tell. And if he AEs into something crazy, this is one of those figures where I would say, like, you got to get in your hand to understand what the heck is going on. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. Anyway, coming in at 250, having hypersonic speed at 7 movement, no range, 12 attack, 17 defense with invulnerability. I think that's pretty interesting. He could, come in and clock somebody for 6 if he's carrying a heavy. Unfortunately, I don't really see his value unless, and let me say this. I'm taking a step back. If you're playing the set in itself, I'm going to add that. You're playing the self with itself, or you're playing with Fear itself. There we go. Now we're on a different scale, and it makes this a lot more positive. We're looking at great stuff here. Because then, because remember, hypersonic speed doesn't give you that auto breakaway anymore. So he comes in and lands that hit. He's there to say, hey, buddy, you better give me a cookies or a kiss, or you're going to eat this punch. So there you go. But overall, in a general meta sense, again, he's just too expensive to be useful. I think in big point games, you may be able to find a place for him, but I'd rather have like a Kurth or a Hawkeye or a bunch of other characters before him. Algrim. He's coming at 125. And charge, exploit weakness. He has a battlefield promotion. Reborn as Curse. When Algrim would take 3 or more damage from an attack, you may replace him with number 8 Curse on his orange starting line. When Algrim would be KO'd, roll a d6, add the amount of damage he has taken. On the result of 7, replace him with number 8 Curse. I actually like this for 125 if I can get Curse for like hecka cheap. Definitely near the end of his dial. Now note, you're looking at being able to promote because of what your opponent has done. So that's part of is the weird part. But if I look at it and I could say, hey, I can get some of this curse stuff at a little bit cheaper price at 125, then I would say actually, think about that, because you possibly can get like a freaking ton of health for a very low price. So I would say, hey, have a plan. Yeah, just have a plan on how you're going to do that. So that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it up to you all because I believe in you all's creativity. All right, next up is Heimdall. And I got to say, we've had enough Heimdalls. I've had Black Heimdall. I've had Norse Heimdall. I got Heimdall 175.2.0. And if I had to pick all these from all these Heimdalls, I feel like I'm putting a rock in a hard place because I like my Black Heimdall, really do. Is it historically correct? No, freaking no. Oh, Norse didn't know of my people. Anyway, going on. Heimdall 175, Asgardian deity, herald, warrior. He has Farsight. Heimdall can use super senses, which is great because he has a dial full of damage reduction. Activate the Bifrost. Heimdall can use telekinesis. If an opposing character moved or was placed adjacent to Heimdall since your last turn, Heimdall can use telekinesis as a free action, but may only use it to place that opposing character. Now, I find this completely funny because I'm going to have to say this is one of those wait and see, this might be broke. Now, I know somebody's going to be like, man, Dark Logos, you're hard on the rest of everything before this. What's really making you say, hold up, wait, this might actually be good? For the pure fact, if an opposing character moves, so you can't just like TK Heimdall up to him. It's like, ha buddy, free TK. But if they moved to you, trying to attack somebody else, Heimdall's just like open the Troll Bifrost bridge and send them to the dark world or something. I don't know. Send them to the ice world. They got to deal with the frost giants. Because that's pretty much what he's doing. He's just like, I'm going to troll you. And for the pure fact that you can set up your offense, that as long as you have line of fire and that other character has line of fire to where you're TKing, send them there. Send them 8 squares away so they can fight, Curse or Thor or Odin or whoever other on your Asgardian team decides to lay the smacketh down on them. Okay, so that's what's up. Okay, so definitely do not sleep on this Heimdall. He also has I See All Things. Heimdall can use Perplex and Probability Control as if he had a range value of 8. When he does, he can use Improved Targeting, Ignore Hindering Terrain, Ignore its characters. I'm sort of I'm not too happy on that, but I do like the prob. So, I will say this: you're playing an Asgardian team and you need prob. You need to go get a Loki. Just do that. It's a lot cheaper. But for what he does, Heimdall is not that bad. If I had to pick between the three Heimdalls, I would definitely pick Black Heimdall. Not because he's black, but he has a whole lot better stats and cost efficiency and just abilities. He has like +2 to everything. When someone tries to attack him, I think. If they're not in the square that they started in. Or something along that line. So he's just like, you got running shot, I got +2 defense. You have charge, I have +2 defense. You moved. I saw that. I was ready. Yeah. That Heimdall is defensive and reacts to danger. These other Heimdalls, they're like, oh, you came. Let me unlock the trapdoor. Anyway, I move on. Let's move on. Fandral. Warriors 3. If you have those old Hammer of Thor Warriors 3, just add this to more abuse with that, because you can make an army of the Warriors 3 now of 1,000 points probably. I don't know. Warriors 3, friendly characters with the Warriors 3 keyword marked with one action token can use sidestep. Just add to the absurdity, if you will. Come on, yeah, they can get sidestep along with the 15 other things that they do. Just a feint. Fandral can use Blaze Claw's Fangs once per turn. He can use it and the hit target takes less than 2 damage. Another friendly character may immediately make a close combat attack targeting the same character as a free action. So pretty much Heimdall doesn't have more than 2 damage on him. Which means that if he always has somebody next to him, and again, you know, if you mark with 1 token, you can use sidestep. So you could just get your buddy, you know, who just beat up on somebody else as a normal action, use sidestep, and roll for breakaway, because again, it doesn't give you auto breakaway. Break away if you make it, and punch this other dude. So yeah, Fandral definitely gives an A in my ranking. And he starts with Perplex, so it's just freaking so BS. But yeah, definitely good for you Asgardian teams. Cronin Stone Man. I was about to say Cronin the Barbarian, and that was so wrong. 100 points, not even worth looking at unless you like running monsters, and he's not a fan of Mole Man because he has Battle Fury, so he can't be mind controlled, which is unfortunate. Next up is Loki. Let the complications begin. He has no TA, 8 range, 150 points, Asgardian, deity, and mystical keywords. He has a trait, imprisoned by greed. As long as Loki is on a countdown click, he can't be moved. Place, targeted, assign an action, blah blah blah, and at the beginning of your turn, you may turn his dial once and to the right if Loki is on a countdown click and there's no friendly characters on the map. Click Loki to click force. So pretty much he's like Ice Cap, which I'm sort of surprised that they haven't done more of this, because it's actually a good mechanic. And then if you're looking at, hey, behold the age of Alpha Strike, and stuff is ridiculously stupid, and getting on the other side of the map, having something, you know, actually staying on their clicks for a while, it's not a bad idea. Freed by grief. When this power is first revealed, you may place Loki adjacent to an opposing character that has hit a character that is both friendly to Loki and 30 points or more. When you do, Loki may use Pulse Wave as a free action. Wow. I look at it like this. So he comes off his click, right? And let's say the opposing team has hit your Fandral really, really hard. Loki just pops out and he's like, "Ah, you hurt my friend, Pulse Wave for 3 damage." Yeah. And that can be sort of awesome. And it's a free action Pulse Wave, so you can do something else. What I sort of don't like is that his front dial really isn't built for him to just pop across the map and be like, "What's up, son?" Post wave. And because you have to be adjacent, that means like you can't just run away. Once you've done what you've done, you have to roll breakaway. So I'm in a mixed bag on this one. Now I could say, hey, let's get crafty and make it so that you summon a hammer down and then use Quake to knock them back, and then that would be sort of cool. But that's really all I could think of. Alright, after all, I am the god of lies. Loki can use probability control and shape change. When Loki uses shape change and the result is 6, deal the attacker 1 unavoidable damage after action is resolved. Now, I think that's probably the only thing. Okay, let me rephrase this. I think he's worth his points after reading all of this, but I think you gotta be crafty. And I know sort of saying that with Loki is being repetitive, but you really need to be crafty, because if you're not, man, it's a downhill slope. Because there's not a lot that really makes me say, yay, you're going to be safe. And definitely when you're looking at flurry and charge and stuff like that, I know. Now his first 4 clicks, I would probably say, are his paramount clicks, because you have Psychic Blast and you have Precision Strike. I was about to say Striking Pose. That's bad. You have Precision Strike. And what's interesting is, yeah, that's going to help you against a lot of different things because you're guaranteed damage. Now, where it sort of sucks is, on click 2 you have Stealth, which, yeah, you know, he needs to sort of stay there, but on clicks 3 and 4 you have Flurry, which you have to ask yourself, why the heck is Loki in a melee fight? Never should be there. Loki, you should never be there. Okay, next up is another Thor. And this one has Avengers Initiative. And he comes in at 400 and 200 points. And already Dark Logos does not approve. Because you shouldn't be 400 points as a standard heroclix. But let's look at him. Improve movement. You dare attack the son of Odin? Improve movement, ignores characters. Which is sort of nice because you can't afford to be tied up if you're a thunder god. Defender of the 9 realms. Thor, can you... That doesn't make sense. He beats the crap out of the other realms. He goes in and beats the frost giants, freaking dark elves, trolls, all these other things. How the heck is he a defender of the 9 realms? He's probably really the only defender of 2. Asgard and Earthrealm. Or freaking Midgard. That's it. He beats the fire out of everybody else. That doesn't make sense. Okay, fanboy rant off. Now back to professionalism. Defender of the 9 realms. Thor can use super strength, and adjacent friendly characters can use toughness. Once per turn, Thor can use defend. I'm a bit confused with that last part because it says once per turn he can use defend, but is that supposed to be once per game? Because pretty much defend is continual. I mean, does he get to turn it on and off? So I think that's one that has to be sort of clarified. Now, it is sort of cool that, yeah, it's in his trait that he has super strength, which he needs. And it's also nice that he gives other people toughness. So that is awesome. So I can give WizKids a hand clap for that. But for 400 points, I'm still not feeling him. Asgardian Fury, first special power movement. He has charge and flurry. The meta doesn't need more charge, flurry, BS, son. Really doesn't. Call down the lightning as attack special power. Give Thor a ranged combat action. And he can use improved targeting, ignore its characters for this action. Oh gosh. The area of effect, oh gosh. For the ranged attack, is any one square within the range and line of fire, and each square adjacent to it. A hit character occupying the chosen square is dealt Thor's printed damage. Other hit characters are dealt Thor's printed damage -1. Now, okay, this I guess is how they're trying to justify him being 400 points. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and pretty much say how this is designed is that Thor can hit everybody with his print damage or his print damage -1 if he targets those two squares. So no, he has two targets, and if he gets Dr. Octopus arms, he can have 3. And so I'm just assuming that you can say, hey, I target this square and this square, because he freaking ignores characters for the action. So she's just like, boom, boom, okay. Now, note, he doesn't, oh, well, he has an Avengers initiative, so yeah, he ignores hindering terrain too, so forget that. So he just says, I target character A and character B, and you're clustered between characters A and B. Everyone clustered around characters A and B just got served. Characters A and B are probably dead. Is that an absurd amount of damage? Yes, and only yes, if your opponent is making a swarm team. If your opponent is any sort of, reasonable individual that knows that this Thor is on the other side of the board, there is no reason to be adjacent to any of those. There's no reason to be adjacent to any of your characters. The words fan out sort of come into mind, but is this like the best example of like ball lightning I've seen in the game? Oh yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I think that this power needs to be imitated on other characters. Just probably, now note, hear me out, with like less damage value or a damage value like locked at 2 or 3, or damage value locked at 2, all damage is penetrating. I would love to see that. That would be great. Bring in Tony the Tiger and the Frosted Flakes and the little boy playing catch with his dad. We'll have a commercial of it, okay? But this is outside of like 1,000 point or a 2,000 point game. I don't see this being useful. Now, I mean, if you're in that venue and you play that guy that always loves bringing in 50 bazillion moloids, then I'm sorry to say, let that guy have fun, because he brought 50 bazillion moloids. Okay? Don't kill his fun. Don't kill the... Like, I hate to say it, this kills the fun of all the guys that play minions. Like, yes, you could say, oh, look, I killed the pit crew and blah, blah, blah. Like, yes, there are those guys, but guess what? That's not the most efficient way to kill his pit crew. Okay? I could think of probably like 15 other ways that are way more efficient. This is not one of them. But it just says, hey, we introduced a couple of guys where if you play with your buddies and you have a bunch of different minions, and we create different minions down by the river, and that's where they live. They don't have a glorious life down by the river, but they can come up to society and get a hot meal time to time and fight for the amusement of others. And then you say, and they created Thor, and it's like, screw that. Screw your fun. We have lightning. So anyway, I'll move on down the line. To quote my grandmother. Next up is from the starter, and you know how I love them starters. Really more cynical of them starters as of late. Experienced Thor. Another Thor with Avengers Initiative, an 8 range, 1 target, comes in 175 points. He has Asgardian Avengers and Deity and Warrior keywords, which is not bad. His special power when he starts off is whoever holds this hammer. Thor can use charge. He can use it normally, or he may be or he is given an action to use charge. If he moves in a direct line, he can use improved movement, ignores characters. After actions resolve, each character occupying a square the Thor moved through is dealt 1 damage. Assign an action token, and you may place it in a square adjacent to their current position. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! I'm sorry. I am so sorry. This is WizKids not learning a lesson. This is WizKids not learning a lesson. It's just like say, hey guys. We know the cop car is a bit BS. But what if we gave you a weaker version of almost everything the cop car does that pisses you off, and we made it more expensive? How about that? Will that make you happy, kids? I'm sorry. That's really what it is. It is a poor implementation of another failed idea that shouldn't have been readdressed. That they're like, hey guys, we got a little lazy. We're getting a little brain drain. Let's try this again. How do you like it now? And I'm sorry. It's funny. It can be abused. Heck, it can even be meta if you try it. I'm not at 175 is viable. Slap on a spiral and a utility belt, and you got some silliness. But I hate to say it, I think this is lazy dial design. Anyway, going on, God of Thunder. Thor can use Energy Explosion when he is given a ranged combat action. You may lock his damage value, and if you do, all hit characters are also given an action token. Which that part I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. But when we go back to whoever holds his hammer, I get to move you and deal 1 damage and assign an action token. So I pretty much, that's dumb. That's dumb. Because I could just lock you down. That's so dumb. Anyway, going on. Malekith, 6 range, 100 points. Aversion to iron when Malekith is dealt damage and the attacker rolled a d6 for Blaze Claw's Fangs. For the attack roll, damage dealt can't be reduced below 1. And whatever. It's like the same sort of trait that you had with Morgan Le Fay. Fine. Away from the Asgardian, Malekith can use Force Blast and Sidestep. Yeah, okay, cool. The Deceiver, Malekith can use Mastermind, Shape Change, and Super Senses, which makes his dial a little bit better, considering that's the special power at the end. But at the same time, when you're looking at dealing out 2 damage, and when you get 3 damage, you have Pulse Wave and Regen. I'm not fully feeling it, but it's not bad. You have full dial, Shape Change, Mastermind, Super Senses, Force Blast, Sidestep. You have a nice little cornucopia of powers. Can he fight that Thor? Probably not. Sif, wow. We have better characters that do what Sif does, so I wouldn't look at her. And again, we're looking at the starter now, people, so just bear with me. Loki, coming in at 100 points. Stop giving me 100-point Lokis, WizKids. Stop giving me this Loki, like either giving me these silly Lokis. Give me the punk Loki at really cheap points that just runs around and does shenanigans. Or give me, hey, guess what? I found this evil book of spells and I'm cursing the heck out of all the world Loki. Don't give me, well, I'm the minor plot twist Loki. I'm tired of that Loki, because that's the Loki that always shows up in these sets. Okay? Anyway, illusionary duplicates. Loki can use shape change and toughness. When he uses shape change and succeeds, Loki may be placed in a square of hindering terrain within 3 squares and line of fire. If the attack was a close combat attack, the attacker's action resolves immediately. Okay. Anyway, I think it's all right. I don't think this is the greatest Loki for you to get. It's yeah. Anyway, bad taste in mouth. Dark Elf Scout. He has special power. Power of the Aether. Opposing characters hit by Dark Elf Scouts ranged combat attacks can't use flight until your next turn. At 5 range, I'm not feeling that. Minion, Asgardian Reconnaissance. Never mind. If a friendly character named Malekith is within 8 squares, Dark Elf Scout can use enhancement. Now, homies, this is where it gets awesome. For the pure fact that you can get enhancement can make that other Malekiths pretty cool. Is this the cheapest enhancement that you can get in the game? No. But when you start looking at, if you're going to play Malekith, you might as well play a couple of these. But unfortunately, my friends, this awesome character is only in the starter, so you have to buy a freaking another starter for it to be worth it. Now, also, note it's a scout, yet it has enhancement, which does it no good when it's out by itself. But that's just something that's observational. Next up is Curse. At 150 points, Armor Brute. Svartalfheim, Warrior. First, he has a trait Unbreakable Armor. Curse defense powers can't be countered. So he can't be outwitted. So that's sort of awesome if you're looking for a brick that can't be outwitted. The Wild Hunt. During your first turn, choose an opposing character. Curse can use Charge. He can choose to use it normally, or he can choose to not have his speed value from Charge, but may then only make a close combat attack against the chosen opposing character during that action. So if you know there's a character that's sort of like the core of their team, and you really want to chase him down, this is not a bad figure to do it. Is it the best sort of character really at 150 points? Not really, but it's fun. If you play it within the set itself, it's pretty fun. We're going to look at crap. Where'd my Kleenex box go? We're going to look at the little pogs real quick, and I'm just going to pick out the pogs that sort of stand out to me. The Illinar Captain. For 60 points, you can get because you have to reach your M point, which is 3, and they're 20 points each. You can get you get leadership by itself, so that's pretty cool. But then if you reach your end point, you get Empower. That's 60 points. So having leadership and Empower is not bad. But you're mainly looking at the leadership as just getting more actions, not taking tokens off. So I would say, hey, look, if you're making a team and you need like extra actions and you have some points floating over, that's go with that guy right there. Next up is I don't like those guys. Why are they all Inyanhar guys? I guess they're trying to do something awesome, but they're not really doing that awesome. Here's another one, Dark Elf Scout Pog. It starts off with stealth, and then it also has when you reach M, which would be 45 points. Opposing characters within 3 squares can't use stealth. So I think that's pretty good if you don't have any stealth busting options on your team. And I feel that you can get a whole lot of that. And sort of rolling back up to that Inyanhar Captain, he has Precision Strike, 3 range, and 2 damage. So, I mean, that's nice too. I mean, for Precision Strike. So you know your damage is going to go through. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's it. I think the rest of the pogs are just sort of BA. But alright, so that's mostly it looking at the Thor set. I know some of you might be like, oh, you didn't have too much approval of that. And I really don't. I'm not going to lie. Is this sort of a license money dump? Yeah, sort of is. Did WizKids really put a lot of thought behind the dials like they did in even Iron Man and Superman set. I hate to say it, I feel this is not a slam against the dial H for heroclix, guys, so don't turn it into that. I feel that they dialed it in. That they called home, and in the E.T. video game from the Atari system picked up and says, hey guys, I got something awesome for you, and then made the Thor Dark Moon set. If this was equivalent of another video game of modern age, of a movie property, it would be equivalent to the Iron Man 2 movie, the game, for Xbox 360. That's what it'd be equivalent to. And if you hadn't played that, I wouldn't recommend it. And so you can sort of tell how I feel about this set. Is it now? Here's some things that I'm going to bring up and bring them as legit critiques on myself. Is it fair to expect that a gravity feed or a split booster between normal stores and Target, should that fill in or fix meta holes? And I feel the answer is no, it shouldn't, because that's really not fair for most of the player base. I really feel that what should fix meta holes should be, or better yet, what's moving the meta should be in our main sets. It shouldn't be in all these little weird offshoot sets. At the same time, I feel that what's in the set should accent what's the sin of the game. What is the direction of the game? You know, does it smell like Teen Spirit, or does it just smell like BO? You know, like that's really what I'm feeling that these sets can do. You know, I quote. Well, I'm not going to quote that. Let's look at that Iron Man movie real quick. There are a lot of figures in that set that are just plain fun. And before team bases were ridiculous and we were focused all on that, and we looked at the Iron Man set, we were like, man, I can enjoy this. And your War Machines and your Iron Man and Iron Patriots and all this cool stuff that came from that. And I think in this set it's sort of like, they're Asgardians, they're strong, they just use brute force, let's just make a brute force set. And I sort of feel that the ball was dropped. Now, note, haven't seen the movie, so this could be completely movie accurate. So don't be like, hey, Dark Logos, you know, us future people saw the movie, and you know, WizKids got it like 95%, and then I would say, hey, guess what? They got it 95% or 100% accurate. You know what? Good for WizKids. I give them the hand clap, and they did their job for movie accuracy. And if that's it, then bravo, you've done that. Okay, so that's where I would leave it at. All right. Now we're going to go talk about the Batman classic TV set. And I know for some of you, you're like, man, we've been in this for almost an hour. I advise, you know, take a small break, have a little intermission. You know what? I'm going to have a little intermission myself. I'm going to pause the recording, and when I come back, which this is still going to record, but I'm going to pause in real life and then come back. Then we're going to talk about Batman. So I'm going to like make some fluty music, like do 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 do, and then we'll be back. Okay. Do 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 do. Ba da 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 ba 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 da. Intermission. Get some popcorn. Get some drinks from the fridge. Yeah, yeah. Bum, bum, bum. All right. Here we go. And we're back. Hope you enjoy the intermission. Some of my best music I've done so far on the show. If you like to sample it or make your ringtone, feel free. Just make sure you give me some credit when you make your millions of dollars off of my awesome sounds. All right, moving on. Batman, classic TV set. Excuse me, dang it. That wasn't intentional. I have to admit, when I first thought when they were making the set that was all going to be dumb, And I've looked at some of the pieces here and there, and I have to say, like, it's a lot better than Thor. It's a lot better than Thor. So let's start off with Batman. Charge, precision strike. He also has, let's see, what's that special power? The defense power of Batman. Tool for every occasion. When Batman is targeted by an attack, choose a color of a standard power the attacker can use. Batman can use the defense power of the chosen color until your next turn. Now, it's like, hey, you have charge. Oh man, I would get energy shield deflection. That's not helpful. But if you have running shot, I get vulnerability. Hey, you have sidestep. I'm going to get invincibility. I mean, yeah, it can be really awesome. It would really suck if that person had like Quake and tried to charge Quake Batman, and Batman's like, screw you. I've got combat reflexes, son. Oh, you tried to flurry me? I have super senses. So I do think that it can come off as a bit frustrating for what this Batman can do. Just that defense power alone is just so BS. Like, it's just bad. I mean, because literally, you choose a color. Okay, you just choose a color. Now, the only... Now, I don't know how they're going to rule on special powers because white is a color. I don't know if people know that white is a color. And what's sort of weird about colors is technically black and white, you know, are technically the extreme absences of color. Both are. Because if you can't get any darker than black and you can't get any lighter than white. In the absence of any other gradient, it's really, that's it. But anyway, that's a weird art theory thing. But so I don't know how they're going to rule on that, because it's like, oh, I got a special power. What is the most broken special power in the game I can pick? I don't know. Maybe there's a list of that, but I'm doubting it's going to work like that. They're probably going to say, hey, special powers only get to work if they're on the card, and it's like, okay, cool. Next up is discover your fiendish plot and foil it. Batman can use outwit and perplex. He is the best brilliant tactician ever. Okay, he starts out with both. For the pure, this is just awesome all around. I know you're gonna say, well, Dark Logos, isn't he a bit expensive? Yes, at 100 points. I'm not gonna front. He's a tad bit expensive. But he also could come in at 50 points, which is still ridiculously strong for that Batman. Like, I'm sorry, this is silly dumb what he can do. It's just so bad. And the one phone I can control decided to prove that I can't control it because I wasn't paying attention. Anyway, so Batman, I give him a thumbs up. Go buy that. Have fun with him. He's ridiculously dumb, silly. Next up is Bruce Wayne. Last note on Batman. The coolest thing about this Batman is that his attack stats are pretty consistent. You're looking at all 10s, one click of an 11 and one click of a 9. And your 9 is on your last click. But other than that, it is consistent. So he is awesome. He is straight awesome. Anyway, going into Bruce Wayne. The commissioner called. Let's go. When another friendly character is given a move action, after actions resolve, you may give Bruce Wayne a move action as a free action. So, hey, did you move another character on your team? Guess what? Bruce Wayne gets to move up. He has built-in Lieutenant Gordon, fool. That's what's up. Okay. Hey, I need to outwit something. Hey, you over there, you go move. Now I move. Now I use my 6 range to outwit. Yeah, that's stupid dumb strong. Okay, so just that alone is worth it. Then he has his defensive power. Sometimes it seems like I'm a professional hostage for ransom. When an opposing character not on its starting click would deal damage to Bruce Wayne with an attack, you may ignore all of that damage. If you do, the attacker immediately heals that much damage. I gotta say it's a catch-22, but at the same time, it's sort of silly how strong this is. He can survive. It's the fact of like you're outwitting something crucial. A character is trying to shoot you for them to regain that critical outwit. They're on their second click, and it's like, guess what, buddy? I'm keeping this outwit. Yeah, you get to heal. It doesn't matter because you were on click 2. But yeah, good for you. Oh man, you had an activation click? Sucks to be you. And that's where I see that this is just going to piss people off, is if they have activation clicks. So yeah, already so far you can sort of tell how I'm feeling on this. Alter ego to the Batman pole. Oh gosh, rated G shows. Give Bruce Wayne a free action when he has no action tokens, and replace him with BCTV #1 Batman on its orange starting line, which is awesome because you get like sidestep and precision strike. So yeah, overall, Bruce Wayne, get up on that. I know I'm a bit late on telling you all to get up on that, but yeah, get up on that. And next up is Robin. Robin starts off at 50 points, and he is the longest dial for 50 points I have seen in a long time, with as many special powers and other shenanigans that he has. So just for that pure fact, he gets a thumbs up. He has improved movement to ignore characters, but that's fine. Biff Bang Pow when Robin makes a close combat attack. All attack rolls of double 3, 4, 5, or 6 are critical hits, which is even more awesome. Holy, insert this Batman. Again, rated G show. Give Robin a free action and choose an opposing character within 6 squares and line of fire. Choose a power action. What the heck? A close combat action, or choose a power action, a close combat action, or a ranged combat action. If the chosen character is given that type of action during its next turn, that character immediately modifies its combat values by -1. Oh my gosh! For that turn, if not already modified by this effect, and you may remove an action token from it. I'm so a bit mad that they said if not already modified by this effect. Because I would just say, hey kids, want to screw a team base real bad? Play 2 Robins and watch the other guy cry. I mean, that's pretty much how I feel, but that attack power is on his clicks 2, 4, and 6, so you don't start with it. But I gotta say, probably some of the most hilarious fun I've seen in the heroclix design for a while. They didn't dial this in. This is awesome. Now, I would say if you want like the most efficient version of this, pick up Robin at 25 points, and heck, play 2 of them, and it's still the it doesn't make sense. How can he be 25 points and we get other characters that dials are shorter than this who have about the same type of stats and they're more points? I don't see how. It might just be the fact he has 0 range. That might be what's inflating the cost. But anyway, hilarity. Next up is Dick Grayson. He's in that same silly pose that Bruce Wayne is in. The first power is Dick Follow Me. When a friendly character named Batman or Bruce Wayne is given a move action, after actions resolve, you may give Dick Grayson a move action as a free action. Okay, here's why I'm laughing. Because pretty much, You move somebody else. Batman, Bruce Wayne moves. Bruce Wayne triggers freaking Robin. So Bruce Wayne moved for free. Robin, Dick Grayson moves for free. And I'm sitting here just thinking, I'm like, this is some of the things that caused the problems in the game, was all these free moves to do stuff. You just made it so they can deploy across the map as a team for free. You can move a pog. That's the dumbest thing. You can move a 2-point pog, trigger 3-point pog, trigger Bruce Wayne, then trigger Dick Grayson. You don't even have to. It doesn't matter as long as they're on the field and they're on your team. It's dumb. It could be a 1-point pog running around just doing circles as long as it moves. Oh man. That's silly. Anyway, he has alter ego, and he can turn into the Robin clique, and that's, I hate to say it, like the Robin clique. You're almost just better off just starting off on a 25-point Robin clique than then going on this. But if you just want to deploy and piss people off and have a bunch of free moving fodder, here you go, man. This is just that's what's up. Catwoman. It's not Eartha Kitt Catwoman. I'm clicking. Yeah, that's not Eartha Kitt. And did they just like recycle half of the sculpt they did from the Dark Knight Rises Catwoman? It almost looks like it. I don't know. I guess they may have took like the leather suit from their CG warehouses or whatever. She's 60 points. Now here's the thing. I'm not really going to like weigh in and say like, oh, whose death trap is the best and most elaborate and blah blah blah. And I'm not. I'm just going to try to stick to their dials and special powers, because really, if you're going to go to the death trap route, good for you. You already have a death trap plan. Okay, I can't go and convince you and say, hey, let's not use that death trap. Use the other death trap. And I've heard some back and forth on which is the best death trap and on what day of the week and what team. I'm not really going to go into that, because that's a whole world that, in all honesty, 9 times out of 10, I am not going to play around with. But the rest of this stuff is completely hilarious. Okay, and yeah. So, like I said, the rest of the stuff is completely hilarious. Now, Catwoman is awesome, because Catwoman gets Tinkerbell, and Tinkerbell has pretty good stats. And her special power, Tinkerbell the Tiger, Eyow. Oh gosh. When Catwoman resolves a close combat action, place an Eyow token on this card. Give Catwoman a power action. If no friendly Tinkerbell the Tiger token is on the map, and remove a Eyow token to place a Tinkerbell the Tiger token adjacent to Catwoman. That token is a bystander token as described on the back of this card. Now, what's pretty cool is that you can like perpetually create. You just perpetually create these tigers if they're not on the field. So if they die, just bring another tiger out. Now, Catwoman the character wouldn't like it, but for our tactical purposes, this is awesome. Now, no, you need to be in like close combat and all that other good jazz. But if you're playing a mastermind team, this is probably some of the best awesomeness that you can get, because you can get a free pog person as long as Catwoman is doing her thing, and it has damage reduction, so it's pretty good too. Now, actually looking at Tinkerbell herself, 10 attack, blaze, charge, 14 defense. I'm assuming it's boot, not the flyer symbol. I think AC Realms is wrong there. This is probably by far one of the the strongest pogs I've seen in a while. So definitely get up on that. Next up is Shane. Oh gosh, I was about to say something. Shane, I'm gonna live forever. Anyway, going on. Shane, he's a low down, dirty Shane. That his dial exists. It's really not that good. Anyway, he has a tank escape from jail. Shane can use running shot. When he does, until your next turn, he can use improved movement. It ignores blocking terrain and destroys terrain as the character moves through it, invulnerability. And modifies his damage by +1. At the end of the turn, roll a d6 on result 1 through 3, deal Shane 1 unavoidable damage. And here's the thing. You get to have like all of this stuff, and it's like, hey man, I could probably be dealt damage, and check this out. I get +1 to my damage, which is sort of cool, and I get to do all this cool stuff. I get to break through a wall and shoot you. But in reality, if you don't get to do any of that stuff, like break through a wall, I don't think it's worth it. Now, the invulnerability might be nice, but for the pure fact of, if at most all you did is like reduce 1 or 2 damage, then I don't know. I feel it's sort of wasted, but that's just me. Anyway, going on. Pistol whip, bam. That doesn't make anyway. When Shane resolves a ranged combat action, place a BAM token on this card. Give Shane a free action to remove a BAM token, and then make a close combat attack. It's sort of okay, but it's not that great. It's okay. Anyway, Shane did a shame for himself and a shame to heroclix. Let's move on. Egghead. I wonder how that would work out. If he... I don't know if you had him with other Egghead, what would happen. Excellent attempt, Batman. Crack. When Egghead resolves a move action, place a crack token on this card. Give Egghead a free action to remove a crack token to use probability control until your next turn. So pretty much as long as you move, you can get a crack token. And when you need it, you say like, oh yeah, I need prob. Boop. Okay, cool. I used a crack token. All right, great. Then he has the smartest villain in Gotham City. Egghead can use Outwit. In Perplex, when he does, he can't target characters that can use Outwit or Perplex. Now, this is where it becomes interesting, because technically, Egghead, for 55 points, is some of the best support in the game. And I know some people are listening to this is like, what, really? Yes, he's probably the best support in the game right now. Because for 50 points with Scarlet Witch, you get around the same stats, and you get Psychic Blast and Prob and Perplex. With this one, you get Outwit, Prob, Perplex, and you only have a limited stipulation on your Prob and Perplex use, Prob, Perplex, and Outwit use, which is, hey, you have to move to get your Prob. Other than that, you don't get it. You don't have any other limitations, but you can build up your stacks so that you can get more probs. And then the other limitation is, I can use Outwit and Perplex, but I can't Outwit and Perplex other people that have Outwit and Perplex. That's really not too bad for 55 points. For 55 points, you have Outwit, Perplex, Prob. You have the Trinity. That is freaking brilliant. And you have Mind Control at 3 range for whatever it's worth to you. Okay, so he's not that hard to heal either. So you could pack in a Donald Blake or anything else to come and heal him up if he gets dinged. So I would definitely say, like, do not sleep on this. Get 2 of this guy, and he's going to be great for you. The Riddler. Riddle me this. Give Riddler a free action and choose a KO character and secretly turn its dial to any click other than 1 and tell your opponent the click number. Your opponent must guess the color of a power showing on that click. Reveal that dial on that click number. If there is a power and your opponent didn't guess correctly, modify the Riddler's combat values by +1 this turn and return that dial to its KO click. So you can, I would say, the one to pick is like a old school Joker. Like that's awesome. Just that just jacks with people. Go to like Legacy Joker, and and that's a big way to jack with people. Also, go pick like an icon. I mean, an icon's like a hyper time character. Like nobody's gonna know. No one's gonna know from way back to hyper time. And then the best part about hyper time is that you can turn it to a dial that doesn't have any powers. Oh, what's the color of the power? Oh, there is none. Ha +1. So I think that's sort of funny. Other than that, it doesn't really serve too much. It only really allows for you to try to steady out your attack. Then what kind of people are always in a hurry? The Riddler can use super senses and add 1 to his result for each character that moved this turn. Maximum result 6. If the D6 roll is a 1, he does not evade the attack. So pretty much you can just say like, hey man, I got absurd ability to just get around everybody because I foresaw that attack. So for survivability, he's great. For his point cost, not so great. I have to give him like a C in comparison to everything else. He's still better than Shane. He's better than Shane, but he's not as awesome as anything else we've looked at so far. Next up is this Eartha Kitt Catwoman? Please be Eartha Kitt Catwoman. And the picture is horrible. I think it is. I might have to get this just for the fact it's Eartha Kitt Catwoman. Huh. The picture on AC Realms, I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking at AC Realms right now, is horrible. I don't think it's their fault. I just think someone gave them bad stock footage. Or they went and found bad stock footage. Whatever. I think it's Eartha Kitt. Charge, blades, combat reflexes. This looks like a more classic Catwoman that we've seen than anything else. Her special power is hiding in ladies' dressing rooms. Close your eyes. Rack. When Catwoman resolves a move action, place a rack token on this card. Give Catwoman a free action and remove a rack token. Catwoman can use Perplex until your next turn, but only may use it to modify an attack value by -2. Yeah! I'm not feeling it. The other Catwoman is so much better. The limitation on attack, I think, is also sucking. The fact that you don't get it on your first 2 clicks, or at least not on click 2, is a little bit depressing. Other than that, just having charge blades at 60 points. We've had a lot of characters with charge blades lately for around that point value that are just about as good as her. So I would say there's nothing that really makes her stand apart. But I think once you start getting those rack tokens out and going, and you get to her plasticity and precision strike, I think you might have some more fun with her. I give her a B-. I don't know. I haven't been giving letter grades out this entire time, and all of a sudden I start. I know that's bad. That's not consistent. Dark Logos. I know. But yeah, I wouldn't say this is a must buy, but with that Catwoman. But I would say if you're interested, I don't see any reasons why not to. Next up is Mr. Freeze, and that's pretty cool. I like that little foosh thing that comes out the back. No ordinary guns, please. Mr. Freeze and other friendly characters within 4 squares can use Incapacitate and have a minimum range value of 4. All characters within 4 squares can't make ranged attacks unless they use Incapacitate. This power can't be countered or ignored. This is awesome. This is so awesome, and he's so cheap. And he is unique, which I'm so glad he is. But it's another way of saying, hey, guys, you have Battle Fury, but you don't have Battle Fury. And him being so cheap and being able to be carried around, that's awesome. Add in barrier. Now, he does jack damage. That's a sort of suck part. But you really want to push him to click 2. And here's why. Click 2, he has sidestep, plus has special power. He also has freezing chill and barrier. And freezing chill, swoosh, swoosh. When Mr. Freeze uses incapacitate in hits, after actions resolve, place a swoosh token on this card. When he uses incapacitate and hits, the hit characters are dealt damage equal to the number of swoosh tokens on this card. So as long as he keeps racking up incapacitates, he can just keep racking up his damage. Now, I know some people are going to say, hey, he's not going to get to anything absurd. In a small point game, no. In a large point game, yes. In a large point game, he will be crazy good. And here's why. No one is going to think to go kill Mr. Freeze when they have to go kill Hyperion and Superman and Galactus and all this other stuff. And yes, he's annoying, but a lot of people are going to try to get out the way, and then you just like put some barrier up and try to protect him. For everything he does, this dude is meta. This dude is pretty high meta. So yeah, grab him while people are probably sleeping on him. Grab him and tell him Dark Logo sent you. Next up is the Mad Hatter. One of my least favorite characters in the Batman series, but that's a different thing. Instant mesmerizing device. Zit. When Mad Hatter resolves a move action, places a token on this card, give Mad Hatter a free action, and remove a Zit token to use mind control normally this turn. You may choose to remove 2 tokens to use it as a free action instead. My hats make me superior when compared. That's his attack special power. When compared from a common. What the heck? When compared from a common surface, if the highest point of the Mad Hatter sculpt is above the highest point of the sculpt of any character he targets with an attack, modify Mad Hatter's attack by plus. What the heck? That's dumb. Okay, so pretty much says, hey, if you draw the line literally from his hat to the other character's sculpt, and if his hat is higher than their sculpt, you get +3. Now, I think that this should have a wording at the end that should say not for tournament use. Mainly because that's not fun. I mean that's one of the main reasons we get into heroclix is not to carry around a ruler and a piece of line of fire string so that we can determine if our cannon shoot this far or whatever. No, that's bad. So is the idea of racking up, mind control tokens and whatnot pretty awesome? Yes. Is it the idea of free mind control awesome with 2 targets? Yes. Is this hat thing dumb? Yes. I give it a C. I probably wouldn't pick this up. Definitely looking at his stats. Now, depends. Now, I will say this is going to also depend on how bad Brother Voodoo gets nerfed. Because if Brother Voodoo gets nerfed really bad, then Mad Hatter is going to be what everyone falls back on. So, then he will be an A. But right now, as long as Brother Voodoo exists, he's a C. The Penguin, which just stat-wise is pretty cool. Just saying from stat-wise, he's already looking pretty good. He has multiple umbrella attack, swap. When the Penguin resolves a ranged combat action, place a swap token on the card. Give the Penguin a free action, remove a swap token. To choose a standard attack power the Penguin can use this turn. So that's pretty cool. So you can just pick a standard attack power. It's like, I have Psychic Blast, blah, 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 blah. I have blades. Blah, 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 blah. I have energy explosion. I think that's a little bit more scary than anything else. Maybe pulse wave, but that wouldn't make sense with Penguin. Instant henchman, just add water. Huh. Give Penguin a power action and place a dehydrated henchman token in the adjacent square. The token becomes a bystander token, as described on the back of this card. If the Penguin occupies water terrain, place 2 dehydrated tokens instead. That one's a little bit situational, and it's really hard to control, unless you have like a bucket of water. Let's look at the dehydrated henchman real quick. His stats aren't too good, and we're looking at the dehydrated henchman's stat cost. Point cost being built into the Penguin. And if you look at it totally, 75 points for running shot, mastermind, and outwit, and pretty much a guarantee that you're going to have fodder for your outwit once you get on click 2. I think that that's pretty nice. Where I have a little bit of problem with is I don't think for 75 points he competes with most support / attackers that we have in the game right now. But it's weird because you have to really go to click 2 so that you can maximize that mastermind that he has, which really lowers his survivability. I mean, not lowers, it increases his survivability, but lowers his support nature. So I'm a little bit torn on him. So yeah. Next up is the Bookworm, which I've heard from many people is probably the most brokenest one from all the set. He has a trait: I'm never far from my bookcase of secrets. The bookcase begins the game attached to the Bookworm at no cost. Give the Bookworm a power action and place the bookcase anywhere on the map. Give Bookworm a power action, place him in the bookcase square, and then attach the bookcase to his base. His special power: you know every plot, but can't write your own. The Bookworm can use Outwit, but only to counter a combat ability that another character on your force can also use. So that sort of is not that good. Here's where the issue comes in. It's the bookcase. It's not Bookworm, it's really the bookcase. It's like this object can't be destroyed. Characters adjacent to this object can use Empower and Enhancement. So what it actually is sort of interesting is if you use Bookworm and then use the bookcase, then technically you can bring in a relic for free. Bookworm is not all that great, but if you're playing a utility belt or an Infinity Gauntlet or Batcave or whatever else, then yeah, this is pretty cool. Also, his death trap is probably one of the most complicated. Well, not the most complicated. It's probably, from what I've heard, it's probably one of the strongest. So that adds some elements on there. And plus, he has super senses. But pretty much, just the fact of knowing that, hey, you can put that freaking bookcase anywhere you want. Like there's no restriction on, oh, you can put it in your starting area. It doesn't have a restriction. And then the fact that you can get Empower and Enhancement with it makes Bookworm really, really, really strong. Really strong. And it's not just, oh, look, I have this, but the fact that he can go to it, do whatever he does, and then comes back. Because he can use Outwit. He can Outwit, and you can sort of bring him back through other means. But I think it's a really nice character that we won't see exploited until we start seeing 500, 600, 700-point games. Heck, I don't know. 300 is possible as well. But I'm not going to go too much further than that. Next up is King Tut. And stat-wise, I'm just looking at him, and he's really a bit overcosted. in my opinion. 9 attack for 65 points. That's not good, even though you have prob. He has a special power. Gotham City is the new Thebes. At the beginning of your turn, of your first turn, place a Sphinx marker in a square of clear terrain. It is hindering terrain and remains on the map even if this power is lost, while King Tut is within 6 squares. That marker modifies combat values by +1. So, okay, so then he goes and he says, hey, guess what? From this little circle around that I'm operating in, I have +1 stats. And it really doesn't make him that much more awesome. I think if you are going to try to abuse him, then I know this sounds dumb, it's going to be like an Infinity Gauntlet. I got into godhood. I have achieved the pinnacle of Egyptian lore. I have +3 stats. And I'm still not as good as most heroclix figures. Yeah, probably a C- for this cat. Good attempt, though. Good attempt. Next up is the Joker. And he should have, like, the best death trap. Anyway, looking at him, his stats overall is okay. But his special power movement, Joy Buzzer Zap, when the Joker resolves a move action, place a Zap token on this card before the Joker makes a close combat attack. You may remove 1 Zap token to modify his damage by +1 and have the attack deal penetrating damage. Which is sort of, okay, which makes up for his low damage values and his okay attack values. So he could pretty much say, hey, guess what? I'm doing a penetrating 2 or 3 damage. So that's not bad. Plunder by remote control. Give the Joker... Oh, gosh, I scrolled down too far. Plunder by remote control. Give the Joker a free action and choose an unheld object within 8 squares. For this turn, that object becomes a friendly bystander token, as described on the back of the card. When KO'd or at the end of your turn, it becomes an object again and is placed in the square it last occupied. And the remote control object is as follows. It has 0 movement, 8 attack with incapacitate, 15 defense, and 2 damage. Now, and it has 0 range, which is dumb. Sort of dumb. So pretty much you're just trying to say, like, hey, guess what? I'm going to punch you or try to incap you with objects that's already next to you. That can be... It depends on the setup, because if your opponent is on the object, I don't know what would happen, because the object has 0 move. Like, could you still perplex the object? Like, I guess this is one of those things, like, go to the rules section and find out, because technically you could occupy... Let me read that again. You could occupy the same square as another character, and two characters can occupy the same square. Okay, unheld object within 8 squares. Yeah, it doesn't even say that if you like. Let's talk about something. If, let's say, Out of the Shadows Batman is on top of the object, Joker's like, blah, ha ha ha, I got you, Batman. You know, Joy, you know, this is a remote control object, blah. The rule in heroclix is no 2 characters can occupy the same square. So, how does this resolve? Does Batman take 1 unavoidable and gets knocked to the adjacent square? Or does is the action illegal? Here's where I will say to WizKids, bravo, good attempt. Bad, WizKids, didn't think it through completely. Good attempt, didn't think it through. It creates a little bit more problems than what it's worth. Next up is Dynamic Duo. Bump, 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 bump. Batman's charge for the first 4 clicks at its full dial at 150 points. Then it has 15 defense, 3 damage without wit. And then this one is like a brick of text, so just bear with me. Improved movement. They get to ignore elevated terrain, which is sort of cool because they are climbing on the rope. Batman vehicles, Bat Cycle, Bat Copter, Bat Boat. At the beginning of your turn, if the dynamic duo occupies your starting area, you may choose Transporter Boot symbol, or a Transporter Dolphin symbol, or a Transporter Wing symbol. If you do, the dynamic duo possesses that combat symbol until they take damage. Each may be chosen only once per game. Now here's why this is freaking awesome. You can say, hey, guess what? We're a Transporter Wing symbol. They can move and attack, ignore hindering terrain, and then, like smack somebody, and carry some other figure along with them. So that's the first thing that becomes hilarious. The next thing is there are so many different other not battlefield conditions, feats that trigger off of your movement, and so I could think of a couple that sort of pop into my mind, like, oh, that would be sort of interesting to put on the dynamic duo. Also, so far, just looking at stats and design-wise, this is way better than the previous dynamic duo that came out in heroclix. But in all fairness, it was like the first set of special powers, and also like the first attempt at duos too. So, anyway, chaotic fist fight. The dynamic duo can use energy shield deflection. When the dynamic duo misses with a close combat attack after actions resolve, roll a d6 for each other adjacent opposing character in any order you choose. On the first result of 5 through 6, the dynamic duo can use duo attack ability as a free action, but may only target that character. So you could punch that character twice. So, like, pretty much just having sort of a weird flurry and being able to attack multiple characters is sort of cool. Hold on, misses with a close combat attack after it rolls d6 other adjacent. Oh yeah, so you try to hit one, you miss, you can get somebody else. So that's pretty cool. Now, the only thing that sort of comes into my mind is if you hit with your first attack with a duo attack, hit with your first attack, miss with your second attack, you could trigger chaotic fist fight and hit somebody else that's adjacent with duo attack. So you could possibly get 3 attacks off. So that seems pretty cool. Now, I might be wrong on this one because it is a little bit confusing, but hey, that's my interpretation right now. If I'm wrong, just put in the comments below. I won't hate you. I've been corrected in YouTube comments before, so it's all good. The bigger they are, Robin. What the heck? That doesn't make sense. Anyway, the dynamic duo can use super senses, which is cool. When the dynamic duo is targeted by an attack, increase the dynamic duo's defense value by the attacker's printed damage value. This power can't be countered or ignored. And at first I thought it was the attack value, and I thought that was completely dumb. And then I realized, like, I'm not paying attention. But what it really comes down to is like, hey, you deal out 6 printed damage, I get +6 to my defense. And on top of that, if I have any other mods, I can add that. So I want people to understand this. The way that this is worded, this is not a modification. This is not a replacement either. This is something that they've invented called increase. And I know that seems dumb, but literally in all our little whiz kids wordings, this might be the first occurrence of a different perspective in game design. And I know somebody might be saying, like, I'm overthinking this, but I really think that there might use increase and more and more stuff, but nah. Overall, I think it's sort of fun dial. I think it's one of those things that if you think it through, you're going to have a great time with it. Even with the 100-point version, it's not the sturdiest, but I would recommend the vet version over the experience. But both are pretty much A grade pieces. All right, real quick, I'm looking at the Batmobile, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to wrap this up with the Batmobile since we've been going on really long. Is I'm looking at the stats and I'm thinking to myself, for the piloted mode, you definitely want to be like, hey, guess what? I stole the stats of some other character, the character that's in the Batmobile, and then I'm using that to attack. The autopilot mode, I think it will be very interesting to use. But I can't say like, oh man, this is something that off the top of my head, looking at it, that I can say like, yeah, I can see a real big advantage in that. The other thing I do think is sort of interesting is that for, what's the point value for the autopilot? 75 points. 75 points, that's a really deep dial for 75 points. But again, vehicle formula is stupid. It's inconsistent. But anyway, you get voice control Batmobile relay unit. When a friendly character named Batman is on the map, it has no action tokens. Batmobile is not dealt unavoidable damage from giving an action that includes an attack. Now, this is great because that's one of the biggest weaknesses of autopilot characters, is that if they do an attack, they are dealt damage. This, in and of itself, could make a little bit the Batmobile, I would say like a C grade meta, maybe C plus at best for the autopilot. But that's about it. Considering that you only get like two, it only can carry 2 characters. So I don't know. I take that back. It might be able to be a good character if you can deploy a bunch of characters. If you can deploy 2 very important characters. All right, now looking at the pilot ability, you don't get the trait when you're in piloted mode, so keep that in mind. You get pilot ability mobile tracking scope. Prerequisites Batman family keyword. When Batmobile replaces its combat values with the combat values of the pilot, modify any one replaced value by +1. That can be really great with a very wide array of Batmans. Then pilot ability Bat computer prerequisite Batman or Robin. At the beginning of your turn, roll a d6 on a result of 3 through 6. Batmobile can use Outwit until your next turn. It's pretty good odds. It's 2 out of 3 that you can get Outwit. But looking at the stats, you're going to be borrowing from your pilot a lot. Calling Police Chief O'Hara. Yeah, O'Hara. I keep thinking Uhura from Star Trek, but it's O'Hara. Anyway, that raises more questions in my head than anything else. It's probably on purpose. Anyway, give Batman a power action and give any other friendly characters with the police keyword a move action as a free action with their speed values halved. And you get that at the end of your dial, so it's really not that useful. Your car is probably almost wrecked. And the car is really not that useful at that stage. And at 145 points, I'm not really feeling it then. Its best clicks is clicks 3 and 4. In all honesty, because that's you had the best chance of actually putting up a fight. But I wouldn't really recommend. I really can't recommend the Batmobile. I think it's something cool to put on your shelf, but that's about it. All right, holy long podcast, Batman. This is almost 2 hours. Yep. So anyway, let's wrap this up. If you want to hit me up, you can email me at startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. That's startingoverpodcast@gmail.com if you wish to opine. Keep it piffy, keep it interesting. I hope you enjoyed the Dial H for heroclix guys the previous week. If you want to see them back on or any other guests on the show, email me and let me know. Also, if you want to know when a new show is up or you have something witty to send me, and it's very short, hit me up on Twitter at StartOverPod. It came from outer space, shot past the Milky Way, and went 5 stars till morning, and then came and became my Twitter handle. Anyway, and last but not least, you can check out the blog, and I will have a fair warning. The blog right now is a bit on hiatus, and here's why. I am a bit tapped. Not going to front. The watch list and the meta and the way things are and a lot of other things have really got me a bit burnt out. It's not enough not to do the podcast, but just enough that creating that extra content was really working me. And it was also getting to the point where I really wasn't writing that much. And that I don't want to create stuff just to flood your day with worthless crap. You have thousands of other media outlets that are designed to do that. I do not want to be another one of those media outlets for you. Because of that, I'm going to put the blog on pause. And if I have anything important or anything I think is cool, or any of my thoughts I think is worth sharing, then I'm going to put it up. But the Monday, Wednesday, weekend thing, I can't really do that. And even with stuff coming out at a decent pace, I really don't think most of it's worth talking about. And I know that seems sort of sad, but it really isn't. So, anyway, that's it. Thank you for bearing with me for this over an hour long podcast. And you can sort of hear my voice like, blah, blah, blah. I'm Batman. And so, thanks for listening. And remember, we all have to start over sometime.
I'm into comic books, figures on the wall. She's into looking good, Vicky C's catalog. And she loves my flaws, yeah, she's not ashamed. I'm a Peter Parker, she's my Mary Jane. She's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane. She's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane. She's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane. I'm a Peter Parker, she's my Mary Jane. I'm a big nerd around her, but she's cool around me. Never knew how she found me. Electric, but she grounds me. And she loves my flaws, she accepts them all. When the darkness comes, I will get the call. I will swing down to save her.